Thousands of years ago, Thoth didn't merely speak with birds. He conversed with wolves. He listened to the counsel of serpents. He understood the secret language that all animals share, a frequency of pure intention that transcends sound. This ability wasn't magic. It was lost science, and now it's returning. The ancient Egyptians knew that every animal is a specialist, a wisdom consultant. The lion knows power. The owl knows mysteries. The cat understands portals. The wolf comprehends community. When you reconnect with them, you gain access to millions of years of knowledge encoded in their instincts. But there's a secret that Thoth concealed in the tablets. You never truly lost this ability. It's sleeping within you, waiting to be awakened. And when you activate it, your life transforms. Your pets behave differently. Wild animals cease fearing your presence. You begin receiving real-time messages about energies and dangers your eyes cannot perceive. Breathe. What you're about to discover changes everything. Imagine for a moment that all accumulated knowledge of a species isn't only in its physical DNA. It exists in an invisible field, a repository of shared consciousness that each member of the species can access. Modern biology is beginning to confirm this. British biologist Rupert Sheldrake from Cambridge University developed the theory of morphogenetic fields, invisible information fields that guide the behavior of all living organisms. A duck doesn't learn to be a duck through education. It resonates with a field containing the pattern of being a duck. This is the scientific discovery that Thoth encoded in his tablets 3,400 years ago. He called these fields the animal mind fields. The concept that each species functions as a collective entity, a superorganism connected by invisible threads of consciousness. An individual lion isn't just a lion. It's an access point to the consciousness of all lions that ever existed and exist now. Researchers at the HeartMath Institute discovered something extraordinary about biological fields. The human heart generates an electromagnetic field. But there's more. This field enters coherence with external fields when you're in a state of peace and synchrony. It's as if your chest radiates a frequency that can communicate with other frequencies, including those of animals. Thoth knew this. He understood that animal communication functioned through fields, not through sounds. Sound is merely the secondary vibration. The real information passes through frequencies operating below and above the audible spectrum. Each animal has its own frequency signature. The lion vibrates at a frequency of power and leadership. The rabbit vibrates at a frequency of sensitivity and alertness. The owl vibrates at a frequency of wisdom and penetration of darkness. The dolphin vibrates at a frequency of joy and harmonious communication. And when you learn to resonate at these frequencies, you can converse with them in a way that transcends language. This isn't telepathy in the fantastical sense. It's frequency tuning. It's the same principle as a radio transmitter tuning to a specific station. When you place your focused intention at that frequency, you access that channel. Dr. Carl Friston, neuroscientist at University College London, described how the human brain functions as a continuous predictor. It creates internal models of reality and then tests these predictions against experience. But there's something deeper. The brain isn't isolated. It's in constant communication with the environment through bioelectric fields. Researchers at the Allen Institute discovered that even simple organisms, like sea slugs, possess bioelectric fields that control their behavior independently of neural activity. These fields carry information, and when you understand this, you realize that animal communication isn't impossible. It's just forgotten. Thoth wasn't a god in the traditional sense. He was a scribe, a keeper of knowledge. Ancient Egyptian records describe him as the one who weighed the heart, who measured the spiritual value of a person through their genuine intention. But there was an aspect of Thoth rarely discussed in public texts. Knowledge guarded only for the highest-ranking initiates. Thoth was a specialist in animal language, not because he had magical powers, but because he had comprehended the fundamental structure of communication in our universe. Secret texts that remained hidden in hermetic libraries describe how Thoth spent months in the wilderness. He wasn't studying animals, he was conversing with them, learning, being taught. A papyrus discovered in 1912 during excavations in Luxor and which was discreetly kept from the public domain for decades, revealed a particular secret. Thoth had created a system of 22 animal archetypes. Each represented not just a species, but a wisdom pattern that existed throughout all creation. The number 22 wasn't random. It corresponded to the 22 paths of the Tree of Life, the map of reality that Thoth had encoded. Each path was a frequency, and each animal frequency was a channel through which this vibration could be accessed and transmitted. What made this so revolutionary was that it wasn't knowledge only for priests. It was accessible to anyone whose intention was pure. The secret wasn't in special power, it was in understanding. And understanding is democratic. It cannot be monopolized. The pharaohs understood this. They surrounded themselves with advisors who had mastered this communication. Before important battles, they consulted the collective knowledge of ravens, birds that travel everywhere and have broad vision. Before decisions about justice, they consulted the frequency of the ibis, which represents balance and discernment. Papyrus revealed how Pharaoh Tut regularly consulted with his falcons before any important pronouncement. The falcons, in their high-altitude vision, offered perspective. The pharaoh learned to read the flight of birds, the direction, speed, pattern, as a way to access intelligence that transcended his individual mind. This wasn't superstition. It was a technology for accessing collective wisdom, a way to connect with informational fields containing valuable patterns. What's fascinating is that modern science is beginning to confirm exactly what Thoth described. Neuroscientist Donald Hoffman from the University of California proposed a radical theory that what we call objective reality is actually a user interface, that there are underlying information fields that our consciousness accesses and interprets. Animals are literally connected to these fields more directly than humans because they don't possess the linguistic interpretation layer that filters our perception. Studies with bees at Queen Mary University in London showed something extraordinary. Bees can solve complex mathematical problems. They can plan optimal routes. They can communicate information about flower location and quality with mathematical precision. How did a collectivity of insects develop this capability? The answer is, they didn't develop it. They access it. They resonate with a field of collective intelligence that already contains this pattern. Biologists discovered that insect colonies, ants, bees, termites, possess a form of intelligence that no individual insect has. The colony functions as a superorganism, like a brain. This is especially interesting because no insect is in control. There's no boss, no central planner. Just simple local communication between neighbors, and yet the system produces highly sophisticated and coordinated behaviors. What's happening is that each individual is connected to a shared information field, and through this field, complex patterns emerge. Humans lost access to this facility because we developed language. Language is an extraordinary tool. It allows abstraction, future planning, philosophy, but it also creates separation. It filters raw perception through symbols and concepts. The cat feels the environment immediately. The human thinks about the environment. When you recover the ability to communicate with animals, you're not learning something new. You're accessing again what you already know, just with a different interface. There's a man named Lucas who discovered this by accident. He was a veterinarian in Sao Paulo, working with rescue dogs. One day, a severely traumatized dog arrived. It had been a victim of extreme abuse. The animal wouldn't let anyone approach. It bit, barked, had paralyzing fear of human contact. Conventional rehabilitation techniques didn't work. Medications only made the dog more lethargic. Training was impossible because the animal couldn't relax enough to learn. Lucas was almost ready to consider euthanasia, a humane death to end the animal's suffering. But one night, Lucas was desperate. He entered the room where the dog was isolated. Instead of trying to train or rationally calm the animal, Lucas did something different. He closed his eyes, sat on the floor, and began doing just one thing: breathing. He breathed deeply, slowly, deliberately and peacefully. His body entered a state of absolute calm. He wasn't pretending. He genuinely felt peace, because he had accepted that he couldn't control the outcome, that all he could do was be present. As his frequency changed, his heart literally changed rhythm, his brainwave changed pattern. His electromagnetic field changed vibration. The dog began to respond. First, the barking ceased. The animal remained mentally aggressive, but physically stopped attacking. Then slowly it began approaching Lucas, not confidently, with extreme caution, but approaching. Lucas did nothing, remained silent, at peace, resonating with a frequency the dog recognized as safe, as true. Within a few minutes, the dog had placed its head in Lucas's lap. It was trembling, but it was in physical contact. For the first time in months, that animal had allowed someone to touch it. This session lasted 3 hours. When Lucas left the room, he had tears in his eyes, because he knew something extraordinary had happened. It wasn't a training trick. It was pure communication, frequency speaking to frequency. In the following days, Lucas repeated this practice, always the same process. Enter deep calm, radiate peace, do nothing, just be. And the dog responded progressively. A week later, the animal not only accepted Lucas, it sought his company. When Lucas arrived, the dog ran toward him with joy. 2 months later, the dog had been completely transformed. It was adopted by a loving family. And Lucas understood the first principle of animal communication. You don't speak with animals through words or techniques. You speak through frequency, through vibration, through intention encoded in your own being. This is why conventional animal training techniques, based on rewards, punishments, commands, work, but remain superficial. They treat behavior, not relationship. The animal learns to obey, but not really to trust. When you communicate through frequency, you're generating trust at the deepest level, at the code level, at the level where the animal feels understood in its own nature. Thoth identified 7 frequency layers that a practitioner needed to master, to develop genuine communication with animals. Each level built upon the previous one. Each opened new capabilities. The first level, calm presence. The ability to be near an animal without radiating fear, excitement, predatory intention, or emotional need. Just being, relaxed, present. Animals possess extremely sensitive nervous systems. They can detect the smallest fluctuations in your emotional state. So a dog can feel your heartbeat accelerating. Its sense of smell detects the chemical changes that accompany anxiety or excitement. When you can maintain absolute calm, not forced pretense, but genuine calm, you become invisible to the animal's alarm system. You're perceived as safe, not as a threat, not as a source of excitement, just as part of the environment, like a tree. The practice for this level is simple. Sit or stand near an animal. Don't fix it with your gaze. Don't touch it. Don't speak. Just be at peace. If anxiety arises in you, worry if the animal will attack, if it will like you, if you're doing it right. Observe the anxiety, but don't deliver it to the animal. Keep breathing. Keep existing in calm. Most wild animals that normally flee from humans will begin approaching when you genuinely reach this level. Not just from curiosity, because they recognize you're safe. The second level, empathic attunement. The ability to genuinely feel what the animal is feeling, to truly place yourself in its emotional state without judgment. A frightened dog doesn't need comforting words. It needs someone who truly understands its fear and doesn't judge it. It needs someone who is so calm about the fear that the animal can relax in their presence. A territorial cat doesn't need your attempt at dominance. It needs you to recognize its territory as sacred and respectable. An injured bird doesn't need pity. It needs you to see it as courageous and complete, not as a victim. Animal empathy is different from human empathy. You don't offer verbal consolation. You offer energetic understanding. You radiate, I understand. You are valid. Your experience makes sense. There's nothing wrong with you. The practice for this level is to enter the animal's emotional state before being in its presence. If you know you'll be with an abused dog, spend a few minutes truly understanding deep fear. Not superficial fear, fear of death, fear of betrayal, fear of being unable to trust anyone. Feel it in your body. Let your tears flow if needed. Let your chest tighten. Then allow this fear to transmute into compassion, into understanding, and then bring that refined vibration to the animal. The third level, clear intention, the ability to have crystalline will and transmit it without words. If you want a horse to follow a specific direction, the intention to guide it must be so clear in your mind that the animal literally feels it. Studies at the Institute of Noetic Sciences showed that animals respond more quickly to focused intention than to conventional training. They have receptors for electromagnetic fields that the human body produces when it has clear intention. The practice for this level is learning to have crystalline intentions in everything you do. It's not enough to want the dog to sit. You must truly visualize the dog sitting. You must know with absolute certainty that the dog will sit. This certainty generates a specific electromagnetic field that the dog can perceive. Most humans can't do this because they're filled with doubt. Will it work? Will the dog obey me? This doubt generates noise, interferes with the signal. It's like trying to hear a radio with too much static. When you're clear, when you know. When you're not asking or hoping, you're knowing. The signal is strong and clean, and animals respond. The fourth level, genuine reciprocity. The ability to offer something, energy, gratitude, respect, in exchange. Thoth taught that you should never try to obtain something from an animal without first offering something. It can be a feeling of genuine gratitude. It can be the commitment to protect it. It can simply be recognizing its presence as sacred. It can be leaving water and seeds for the bird that visited you. It can be petting the cat with loving intention, not just for your own gratification. Because when you offer first, when you generate movement in the field, the animal perceives you're not an energy consumer, that you're a partner, a participant in a cycle of exchange. The practice for this level is developing the habit of offering. Whenever you approach an animal with a question, need, or desire, first offer something. It can be gratitude, it can be love, it can be a physical gesture of care. This rebalances the field, makes the animal feel respected instead of exploited. The fifth level, expanded sensory perception. The ability to see with the animal's eyes, to understand its world, how a dog sees primarily through smell, how an eagle sees details at kilometers away, how a serpent perceives heat. When you can do this, you can communicate in their language. Not in human abstraction, but in direct experience. A dog doesn't think of food as a concept. It smells the specific aroma of each food. It feels the texture on its tongue, the taste. It lives in a world of aromas humans can barely imagine. If you want to truly communicate with a dog, you need to learn to think in aromas, not in words. An eagle doesn't think of prey as a concept. It sees movement, it sees contrast, it feels air currents. It lives in a world of constant movement and aerial perspective. If you want to truly communicate with an eagle, you need to learn to think in perspective, in long-range vision. The practice for this level is an exercise called alternative sensory perception. You choose an animal and deliberately try to perceive the world as that animal would perceive it. If it's a cat, sit and observe the world at low levels. Identify movements you would normally ignore. Detect loud sounds you normally filter out. Perceive the world through touch and smell instead of sight. If it's a bird, raise your eyes. See broad patterns instead of close details. Feel air currents. Perceive the open space above you as a complete world. If it's a serpent, close your eyes and perceive only heat. Feel vibrations through the ground. Perceive the world as a pattern of temperatures and movements. With consistent practice, your brain literally begins to process sensorially as the animal processes. Your perception expands. The sixth level, access to the collective field. The ability to connect not just with an individual animal, but with the collective consciousness of the species. To ask a question and receive answers not just from the animal before you, but from the accumulated knowledge of its lineage. This is where things become truly extraordinary. Because you're not just conversing with an animal. You're conversing with the collective memory of millions of years of evolution. If you ask a wolf about community, you're not just hearing that wolf's answer. You're accessing the knowledge of millions of wolves through the centuries, of how to build community, of how to function in groups without losing individuality, of genuine loyalty. The practice for this level is a technique called collective immersion. You sit with a specific animal. You enter deep meditation, and you ask a very clear question, a question you truly desire an answer to. How should I handle change? How do I find my power? How do I create true community? You don't ask the question in words. You place it as a vibration in your heart, as sincere intention, and then you wait. What comes may be an image. It may be a sensation. It may be an understanding that appears complete in your mind. You simply know the answer without knowing how you know. This is access to the collective field. It's the species memory responding through the individual animal. The seventh level, co-creation with nature. The most advanced level, the ability to work in genuine partnership with animals toward greater objectives, not over them, with them. Thoth described this as shared sovereignty. Instead of you telling the animal what to do, both entities work together on a common goal. The animal offers its abilities, its perspective, its ancestral knowledge. You offer your capacity for focused intentionality, your understanding of larger context, your planning ability. A historical example of this is documented in Egyptian records. A pharaoh needed to locate water during an extreme drought that had lasted years. The population was dying of thirst. The seers consulted the pigeons, which have extraordinary sensitivity to water sources through their bioelectric fields. But it wasn't a consultation where the pharaoh merely asked, "Where is the water?" Instead, he and his advisors entered deep co-creation with the pigeons. They breathed with the pigeons. They tuned their frequencies with those of the birds. They offered their strategic vision, knowledge of geography, rain patterns where water sources historically appeared. The pigeons offered their direct energetic sensitivity, their ability to sense water through invisible fields. Together, they allowed a solution to emerge that neither could reach alone. They found water where none was expected, not because the pigeons flew differently, but because the men could read the direction of the bird's intention through their frequency, and the pigeons could amplify their knowledge through human collaboration. This is co-creation, not domination, not obedience. Genuine partnership where both are elevated. Thoth organized his teachings in a system he called the sacred consultants. Each animal is a specialist in a specific domain of wisdom. When you connect with them, you gain access to knowledge that would take lifetimes of human study to accumulate. The lion, master of leadership and personal power. The lion vibrates at a frequency of absolute confidence. It knows who it is, doesn't question its value, doesn't seek validation. If you're in doubt about your ability to lead or command your own life, connect with the lion frequency. The lion doesn't doubt. It knows who it is. When you resonate at this frequency, you activate the same certainty in yourself. Researchers in the Serengeti observe that when a lion enters a location, the entire energetic dynamic shifts. Other animals recognize the authority, not because it's violent, but because its leadership frequency is unmistakable. It doesn't need to roar constantly. Its presence speaks. The lion's lesson is that true power doesn't come from dominating others. It comes from being absolutely aligned with your own nature, from knowing your pattern and living it without question. When you connect with the lion, you don't become violent or aggressive. You become clear, you become firm, you become unshakable. The wolf, master of community and communication. Wolves are deeply social creatures. Their survival depends on clear communication with the pack. An isolated wolf dies. A united pack thrives. When you learn the wolf frequency, you develop an ability to communicate that touches people's hearts. You understand that true strength comes from union, not domination. Wolves protect their offspring with ferocity, but this comes from a place of love, not aggression. When you connect with the wolf, you access this ability to protect with love, to be vulnerable with your pack while maintaining absolute loyalty. One of the mysteries of wolves is their ability to completely synchronize. In a hunt, each pack member knows exactly their role, not because there's a boss shouting orders, because there's constant, continuous communication. Each wolf feels the others. This is the wolf's lesson, that true community isn't hierarchical. It's orchestrated through continuous connection and mutual attunement. The eagle, master of long-range vision and purpose. The eagle flies higher than any other bird. It flies so high it sees patterns that ground creatures could never see. It has perspective. It has vision. When you resonate with the eagle's frequency, you're able to rise above your immediate problems and see the solution with clarity. Problems that seemed like mountains become just small disturbances when viewed from above. The eagle also has what the ancients called total peripheral vision. It doesn't just see ahead. It sees to the sides, behind, up and down simultaneously. It's never caught by surprise. It always knows what's happening around it. When you connect with the eagle, you develop this ability too. You begin noticing details that went unnoticed. You develop sharp intuition. You feel the larger patterns in action in your life and in the lives of those around you. The cat, master of mystery and independence. Cats are never completely domesticated. They maintain a connection with the wild, with the hidden dimension of reality. A cat can sleep in your lap and still remain fundamentally independent. They're not bound to you. They choose your company. When you connect with the cat frequency, you develop sharp discernment. You can move through dark spaces, obscure, ambiguous, unknown situations, and still maintain clarity. Cats see in the dark, literally. Their eyes have structures that amplify any present light, but metaphorically, they also see in the darkness of ignorance, fear, the unknown. When you activate the cat's energy, you can navigate the darkness of uncertainty without losing your way. You develop silent intelligence, wisdom that doesn't need to make noise. The serpent, master of transformation and renewal. The serpent sheds its skin, dies each cycle and is reborn. The serpent's entire life is transformation. When you're stuck in an old pattern, when you need to transform, the serpent is your teacher. Its frequency says, "The death of one form is the birth of another. Don't resist. Flow." The serpent has no limbs to fight. It has no brute strength. It survives through fluidity, adaptation, the wisdom of moving with the terrain, not against it. The ancient Egyptians venerated the serpent, especially the cobra, as a symbol of cosmic transformation. In Thoth's texts, the serpent is described as the greatest teacher of alchemy. It takes venom into its body and transforms it into power. It takes the old skin and leaves it behind. It's the living symbol of renewal. When you connect with the serpent frequency, you develop extraordinary flexibility. Situations that previously caused you terror, changes, losses, transformations, begin to be seen as opportunities, as natural cycles. The dolphin, master of joy and intuition. Dolphins have the most sophisticated communication in the animal kingdom. They use echolocation. They send vibrations and listen to echoes to navigate. They literally see through sound. When you connect with the dolphin, you develop sharp intuition. You learn to send questions to the universe and listen to the answers that return through coincidences, encounters, synchronicities. Dolphins live in deeply joyful communities. They play constantly. They laugh, literally produce a sound that is the animal equivalent of laughter. They find joy in environments that could be hostile. In the deepest and darkest oceans, where pressure is devastating, where food is scarce, they dance. The dolphin frequency is a frequency of joy. Joy as spiritual practice, as a form of resistance against darkness, as an act of faith in the value of life. When you activate the dolphin's energy, you recover your ability to play, to laugh, to find beauty in difficult situations. You learn to use intuition not as a tool to avoid dangers, but as a way to navigate life with confidence and lightness. The owl, master of hidden wisdom and expanded perception. The owl flies at night. It sees what's hidden. While others sleep, it's awake and watching. It's the guardian of nocturnal mysteries. When you connect with the owl, your intuition sharpens. You begin perceiving layers of reality that were invisible. You see the intentions behind people's words. You detect when someone is lying. You sense the presence of invisible entities, energies, spirits, intention patterns that other people don't perceive. The owl is guardian of mysteries. It doesn't reveal everything easily. It offers clues you can follow if you're brave enough. It teaches that not everything needs to be illuminated, that there's value in the unknown, that mystery itself is a form of knowledge. In ancient texts, the owl frequently appears guiding heroes through darkness, not because the owl offers a clear map, but because it offers constant presence, an assurance that it's possible to navigate darkness without losing your soul. Thoth left a protocol in his tablets that works specifically to reactivate the lost connection with animals. It's known as the practice of 7 breaths. It works because it's simple, because it doesn't require belief, just consistent practice. How to execute. Choose an animal. It can be your cat. It can be a bird you see regularly, a butterfly that lands in your garden, a stray cat in the neighborhood, any animal with which you feel a natural connection. Place yourself in a comfortable position where you can observe the animal without disturbing it. Don't hold attention intensely, just observe in a relaxed way, as if you were seeing but not looking directly. Now, begin the breathing. This is the foundation of everything. Inhale slowly through the nose for a count of 4. Hold for 4. Exhale through the mouth in 4. Hold for 4. Do this once. That's the first breath. The first breath. Observation. You simply observe the animal. Its behavior, its characteristics, how it moves, how it rests, how it interacts with the environment. You're not thinking about it. You're just seeing. In this breath, you're establishing visual attunement. Your nervous system begins synchronizing with the animal's. Your brainwave begins resonating at the same frequency as its. The second breath. Absorption. While breathing, you imagine you're absorbing the animal's energetic quality. If it's a lion, you absorb the power, the sense of majesty, the silent confidence. If it's a bird, you absorb the lightness, the freedom, the ability to rise. If it's a cat, you absorb the grace, the mystery, the silent independence, not as escapist fantasy, as a real synchronization exercise. You're literally allowing the animal's frequency to enter your body through breath. The third breath, heart integration. Place your attention on the heart. Imagine that quality you absorbed, the power, the lightness, the grace, is mixing with the love that exists in your chest. Power becomes compassion. Lightness becomes joy. Grace becomes care. You're not just capturing the animal's quality. You're transmuting it, refining it, transforming it into a frequency of love. The fourth breath, transmission. You begin sending this mixture back to the animal. Your breath now is an offering. The love infused with the animal's quality flows from you back to it. The animal receives, even if it doesn't consciously perceive. Its nervous system feels it. Its biological frequency responds. It's as if you told the animal, I see you. I honor your being. I recognize the gift you offer the world. The fifth breath, reception. You stop sending and simply open your perception. Stay in total silence. Any thought, any image, any feeling, any knowledge that arises in the next moments, it's not yours. It's a message from the animal. It's a response. It may be an emotion that emerges from nowhere. It may be a color you see in your mind. It may be a sensation in your body, a tingling warmth, weight. It may be knowledge that appears complete. You simply know something you didn't know before. Note mentally, but don't judge. Don't interpret. Just receive. The sixth breath, gratitude. You offer sincere gratitude. Gratitude for the encounter, for the message, for the connection, for the honor of being chosen to receive this animal's teaching. This gratitude isn't performance. It's genuine. It's a recognition that the animal offered something valuable, that you were transformed by this interaction. The seventh breath, closure. You deliberately close the practice. You defocus your gaze from the animal and return to your normal state. You return to everyday life, but you remain different, more connected, more expanded. The animal resumes its normal life too, but something was exchanged between you. A bridge was created, the complete protocol. Do this for 7 consecutive days with the same animal, always at the same time if possible. Consistency is important. Don't expect dramatic experiences. Sometimes it's subtle, but on the 7th day, something shifts. The animal will begin responding differently to you. If it's a dog, it will turn its head when you arrive. Its behavior may change, become more receptive, more affectionate. If it's a bird, it may begin singing to you in a way it didn't before. If it's a cat, it may begin purring when you approach, or may simply look at you differently, as if it recognized that you now speak its language. And you will have changed too. Your perception expands. You'll begin perceiving nuances that previously went unnoticed. The specific quality of a cat's gaze, the particular rhythm of a bird's flight, the intention behind an animal's behavior. Helena in Barcelona practiced the 7 breaths with a pigeon that visited her apartment. On the 2nd day, She began feeling a sensation of peace emanating from that pigeon. It was as if the animal was transmitting a mantra of tranquility. On the 5th day, when Helena was going through a period of extreme anxiety, work problems, relationships at risk, uncertainty about the future, the pigeon appeared at her window and did something extraordinary. It sang for 3 straight hours. It wasn't just normal cooing. It was a sound so pure and melodious that Helena felt her nervous frequency literally being retuned by the vibration. Her body relaxed, her heart decelerated, her mind quieted. On the 7th day, Helena had fundamentally changed. Her anxiety had disappeared, not because the problem was solved, but because her frequency had changed. She had access to a state of peace she could activate whenever she remembered the pigeon's vibration. She had developed a relationship with a living signal, an animal teacher. Months later, when Helena again faced stressful situations, the pigeon appeared, as if maintaining vigil, as if it were her invisible guardian. A man named Marcus in England practiced the 7 breaths with a crow that regularly visited his backyard. Marcus was an engineer, a highly logical mind. He was skeptical about all this, but decided to conduct a scientific experiment. Observe, practice, document. On the 3rd day, something unexpected happened. The crow began bringing gifts to Marcus. Small, shiny things, a screw, a piece of aluminum foil, a silver button, left them on his windowsill. Marcus researched and discovered that crows do this with people they love, that they recognize as partners. It's very rare behavior. Most crows never do this with humans, but there was more. Marcus began noticing the crow appeared whenever he faced an important problem. And the bird's behavior offered clues. If the crow flew to the left, Marcus learned this indicated, for him specifically, don't go that direction. If it flew to the right, follow this path. Marcus used this communication to solve work problems he had considered impossible. The crow's guidance, communicated through flight pattern, proved absolutely accurate, consistently accurate. A woman named Sophia in Portugal connected with a wild cat living on her neighborhood streets. She practiced the 7 breaths outside her apartment where the cat wandered. Initially, the cat was totally wild, wouldn't let anyone approach, ran from people. But after the 7 breaths on the 3rd day, something changed. The cat began appearing daily at the same time, began allowing Sophia to touch it. But the most extraordinary thing happened when Sophia had a severe emotional crisis. Her father had died. She was in deep mourning, desperate. During the night, the cat entered her apartment. The door was open, and slept on her chest all night long. Its body provided warmth. Its presence provided comfort. In the following days, the cat remained with Sophia throughout her mourning, as if it were her emotional guardian. And then, when the mourning had passed, when Sophia began recovering, the cat gradually began spending more time outside again, returning to its stray cat life. But it visited regularly whenever Sophia faced difficulty. The cat knew. Somehow, it knew when Sophia needed its presence, and came. When you practice consistently, when you truly reconnect with the lost ability, there are 3 unmistakable signs indicating genuine communication has been established. These signs cannot be faked, cannot be forced. They're objective indicators that something real has changed. The first sign, animal synchronicity. Animals begin appearing in your life with a frequency and purpose that defy statistical coincidence. A hawk circles over your head exactly when you're contemplating a major life change, as if saying, rise higher, see the bigger perspective. A couple of pigeons lands on your balcony the day you decide to open your heart to love, as if confirming, yes, this is true. A hummingbird emerges hovering in the air precisely when you're losing hope, as if saying, don't give up, lightness returns. The synchronicity becomes so precise, it defies any logical or statistical explanation. You begin perceiving there's no coincidence, there's communication. The second sign, profound shift in perception. You begin developing sharp intuition, an ability to sense animals' presence before even seeing or hearing them. It's as if a dormant part of your consciousness expanded, connecting to an invisible network of communication that was always there. You simply know a specific bird is about to cross your path, and it does. You feel when a cat is nearby, even with eyes closed. You detect a dog's presence before it enters a room. More importantly, an internal sensation, an intuitive download, gives you a clear hint about the message or energy the animal brings for that moment of your journey. You're not interpreting. You're receiving direct knowledge, as if the animal placed the information directly in your mind. The third sign, functional silent dialogue. You perceive you can establish silent dialogue with these beings through your focused intention. It's not about mental control or manipulation, but about harmonious and respectful interaction based on genuine reciprocity. You formulate a question in your mind with clarity and sincerity. A nearby animal responds with specific behavior, a song in a certain direction, a flight in a particular pattern, a gesture that serves as unmistakable confirmation or guidance for your question. It's a conversation without words, based on energy and intention, and it works consistently. When these three signs begin manifesting simultaneously and repeatedly in your life, there's no more room for doubt. It's confirmation that Thoth's code was activated within you. Your spiritual antenna is switched on and calibrated. You're no longer just observing nature. You're beginning to participate in its secret dialogue. Many who reach these signs end up disconnecting again. They fall into subtle traps that block the communication flow. Thoth described these errors in detail in his secret texts. Understanding them is crucial to not losing this gift once you've recovered it. The error of egoic mentality. The most common and fatal error is approaching this sacred practice with an ego-driven mentality, trying to control the process, forcing an outcome, using the ability to feel special, to impress others by saying, "I can speak with animals." When you do this, you create immediate vibrational dissonance. Animals, as beings operating in pure presence and harmony, perceive this frequency of control, of egoic need, and simply withdraw. The solution is developing genuine humility, recognizing you're not developing superpowers. You're simply relearning what the animal already knows. You're the student. The animal is the master. The error of logical mind. The second great obstacle is the tyranny of the logical mind. Upon receiving a signal, the person immediately tries to analyze it, dissect it, fit it into a predefined symbolic system they read somewhere. What does a crow mean? What does mythology say about the eagle? What's the symbolic meaning of a serpent? This intellectual approach, though it seems intelligent, actually cuts the connection with the message's source. True communication happens at an intuitive level, through the heart. It's instant knowing, an understanding that arrives as feeling, not as logical conclusion from a symbolic puzzle. The solution is learning to trust direct knowing, what you feel, not what you interpret. The error of impatience. Impatience is the third error that sabotages many aspirants' journey. We live in a culture of immediate results, and this expectation is projected onto the spiritual path. The person tries the technique once or twice, and not having a mystical vision or overwhelming experience, quickly concludes, "This doesn't work for me." Learning nature's language is like learning a new language or musical instrument. It requires consistent practice, patience, dedication, and above all, unwavering trust in the process, even when results aren't immediate. The solution is making a commitment to practice. 7 days minimum, ideally 30 days, 60 days, until it becomes second nature. The error of lack of reciprocity. The fourth error, perhaps the most subtle and profound, is lack of reciprocity. Many people approach with a receiving mentality, wanting messages, guidance, signs, but rarely think about giving something in return. In Thoth's tradition, as in all authentic spiritual traditions, communication with the sacred is a two-way street, an energetic exchange. Something must be offered back, a genuine feeling of gratitude, the act of leaving fresh water or seeds, the commitment to care for the environment, the promise to use received wisdom to help others. Without this exchange, the connection remains superficial, like a phone call that never truly connects. The solution is developing the habit of offering. Whenever you receive, offer something in return. Whenever you ask for guidance, first honor the animal by offering your gratitude. When you reach a level of consistent communication with animals, when you begin receiving messages regularly and practicing specific frequencies, you arrive at a decision point. It's a turning point. A moment of genuine choice. Do you just want to receive? Do you want to be merely a privileged observer of animal communication? Or do you want to make a pact? A pact means commitment. It means telling the animals, nature, the invisible field that connects them, I recognize you as my teacher and my partner. In exchange for your wisdom, I commit to protecting you, to honoring your life as sacred, to not harm unless absolutely necessary for my survival, to fight for your preservation, to be a guardian of balance. This isn't a casual vow, it's a promise encoded in your heart, sealed in frequency. Thoth taught that a promise made in genuine frequency can never be broken without consequences. If you want to make this pact, there's a ritual that must be performed only once in a lifetime. It's known as the sacred marriage with the animal spirit. The pact ritual preparation for this ritual is as important as the act itself. You'll need 7 feathers, from 7 different types of birds, all found naturally as a gift from Earth, never taken by force. Additionally, you'll need a small ceramic container filled with pure water from a spring or rainwater, and a single white candle. The ritual must be performed in the darkness of the new moon, the moment of greatest potential for new beginnings, in an isolated location in nature, where you're certain you won't be interrupted for several hours. Upon arriving at the chosen location, begin creating a sacred circle on the ground, using the 7 feathers as markers, with tips pointing inward. This creates a boundary between the ordinary world and sacred space. Place the unlit white candle exactly in the circle's center. Sit in a comfortable meditative position, facing east, the direction of sunrise, symbol of new beginnings. Next, initiate the breathing practice you learned. The same as the 7 breaths, but this time with even more focused intention. Complete 49 full breathing cycles. 49 is a sacred number representing the completion of a great learning cycle. 7 times 7. After the final breathing cycle, when your energy is at its peak and your mind completely serene, light the candle in the circle's center. Take the container with pure water in both hands and, holding it before your heart, speak aloud and clearly with total sincerity. Great Thoth, Lord of Wisdom, Guardian of Mysteries, I place myself before you with humility and reverence. I ask permission to become a living bridge between worlds. I promise to use this sacred gift for the greater good and in service to consciousness evolution. I declare my pact with the animal kingdom and with all nature. After the declaration, drink a small sip of water, internalizing your intention. Then delicately pour the remaining water at the lit candle's base, symbolizing the union of your consciousness, the water, with the flame of universal spirit, the fire. This act seals your commitment. Now comes the most challenging and crucial part of the ritual, the wait. You must remain in absolute silence, in a state of total receptivity with open heart, until an animal lands within or very close to your sacred circle. It may take only a few minutes, or entire hours. Time is irrelevant. Your capacity to maintain faith, patience, and purity of intention is the true final test. The animal's arrival isn't coincidence. It's nature's response accepting your request. It's recognition that you've been accepted into the Guardian's community. When it finally appears, and it will appear, you'll feel a profound energetic shift throughout your entire being. Your heart will accelerate. You may cry. You may laugh. You may feel a vibration running up your spine. You'll know. In that moment, the ritual will be complete. Your communication ability will be permanently activated, and your perception of reality will be transformed forever. The capacity to perform the activation ritual and master this sacred language isn't a destiny reserved for everyone in this life. Thoth's teachings are clear in affirming that only certain souls, those already carrying a spiritual history of initiations in past lives, are truly ready to receive and integrate this gift. It's not about being better or worse, but about a specific soul plan, a pre-existing contract with the animal kingdom. There are clear and distinct signs that can indicate whether you're one of these chosen souls, predestined to become a bridge between worlds. The first sign: deep attraction. Since childhood. If you were a child who spent hours observing birds, who collected feathers, who felt immense sadness seeing an injured animal, who had recurring dreams of flying or conversing with animals, This wasn't just common childhood imagination. It was your soul remembering an ancestral connection. A call echoing through time. An innate affinity with the winged realm and all the animal kingdom. The second sign, natural affinity with animals. If animals, especially the most skittish, like birds, foxes, deer, tend to approach you without fear while keeping away from other people, this is a powerful indicator. If you possess the instinctive ability to calm a frightened or injured animal just with your presence, or the gentle touch of your hands, this shows your vibrational frequency already operates on a spectrum of harmony that the animal kingdom recognizes and responds to positively. The third sign, non-physical experiences. If you've had astral projection experiences, lucid dreams in which you could fly with total control and joy, or if during deep meditations you felt your body become so light it seemed to float, this indicates your consciousness is already familiar with non-physical states. Your soul already knows the freedom and perspective of flight, making connection with bird consciousness a much more natural and intuitive step for you than for most people. The fourth sign, sensitivity to subtle frequencies. If you're someone who perceives subtle sounds that go unnoticed by others, who feels discomfort in environments with loud and chaotic noise, who is profoundly affected by music, this reveals your auditory system, both physical and subtle, is more refined than average. This sensitivity is a prerequisite for being able to perceive the vibrational nuances and subtle messages contained in animal behavior. The fifth sign, connection with the air element. If you feel energized in high places, atop mountains, in towers, on airplane flights, if you love the sensation of wind on your face like a caress from an old friend, if you feel naturally drawn to practices like meditation, visualization, and work with subtle energies, this shows you're naturally aligned with the elements that govern the sky and communication. If you recognize yourself in at least 3 of these signs, your presence here reading these words isn't coincidence. It's a reunion. It's a call answered. It's an ancient soul awakening. When communication with animals ceases being an occasional practice and becomes an integral part of your perception, your everyday reality transforms in ways that previously seemed to belong to fantasy's realm. You don't just gain a personal spiritual guide always present. You become an active node in a vast network of planetary consciousness. Animals become your eyes and ears, your remote senses, bringing information and perceptions about events happening far beyond your immediate physical reach. Advanced practitioners of this art consistently report receiving advance warnings about natural events. They describe sudden and unusual changes in local bird behavior, hours or even days before an earthquake, a major storm, a significant climate change. A man in California reported his birds began behaving very strangely, flying in chaotic patterns, singing in different tones, seeming frightened. He paid attention, listened to the message. 3 days later, a significant earthquake occurred. The animals had sensed seismic vibrations before any human instrument. Others discovered they can use this connection actively to help people, locating lost pets or even missing persons. Simply by asking for guidance and following the signs and flight trajectories the animals showed in response. A woman in Portugal lost her 3-year-old son in a forest. Police had searched for hours without result. Desperate, she sat down, closed her eyes, and connected with the frequency of the region's birds. She asked for help. The birds began flying in a specific pattern. She followed them. Within 20 minutes, she found her son safe, resting under a tree. But the most profound and significant transformation happens within yourself. By continuously aligning with animal consciousness, you begin incorporating their essential qualities. Constant presence in the now, freedom from unnecessary attachments, deep trust in life's flow. Your decisions become faster, more intuitive, and invariably more accurate, because they cease being based only on limited logic. They're supported by broader wisdom, by collective intelligence. Your capacity to manifest your desires also accelerates dramatically. As you learn to co-create in harmony with nature's forces, you perceive resistance dissolves, that the universe aligns with your intention, when that intention is in harmony with the larger pattern. You develop what the ancient Egyptians called Horus vision, or eagle vision, the ability to rise above drama and immediate problems to see the great patterns in action in your life and in the lives of those around you. This translates to immense wisdom in relationships, to sharp discernment in business, to crystalline understanding of your soul's purpose. You cease being a victim of circumstances. You become a conscious navigator of life's river, able to see curves and rapids long before reaching them, able to synchronize your movement with natural flow instead of fighting against it. A man named David, who practiced this communication for 2 years, described his transformation thus: "I used to be constantly anxious. My mind wouldn't stop. I planned, calculated, tried to control everything. After I began communicating with animals, I realized they don't do any of that. The bird doesn't worry if it will have food tomorrow. The cat doesn't plan its death. The wolf doesn't question its place in the pack. They simply live, they trust. And when I began adopting this quality, my anxiety disappeared. Not because I solved my problems, but because I changed my relationship with the future. I learned to live as animals live, totally present, totally confident in the process. More than that, you become a living channel for the ancestral wisdom of Earth itself. Animals are one of the planet's oldest life forms. They carry in their collective consciousness a memory dating back millions of years. By connecting with them, you gain access to this living library. Knowledge about healing plants that were forgotten, the location of forgotten power sites, even glimpses of ancient civilization memories can begin surfacing in your consciousness, as if you were remembering something you always knew. A woman in Peru, after months of practice, began dreaming about jaguars. In dreams, jaguars led her to a specific cave. She researched the location. When she finally managed to get there, she discovered a cave with ancient inscriptions, pre-Incan rock art. No one knew that cave existed. It had been discovered only through connection with the jaguar's collective memory. This transformation takes you to a new level of existence. You cease being just a human living on Earth. You become a guardian of Earth, a conscious partner in life's great symphony. Loneliness becomes a distant memory, because you're perpetually surrounded by friends and messengers. Each singing bird is a voice in the conversation. Each animal you encounter is a teacher. Each meeting is an opportunity to learn. Life ceases being a struggle and becomes a dance. It's at this point you understand the true dimension of Thoth's legacy and your new sacred mission on this planet. Upon reaching total mastery of this ability, your personal life transcends and assumes a new and profound meaning. You perceive this gift wasn't given only for your benefit, but so you could serve a greater purpose. You become an active member of a global network of communicators and energy stabilizers, people who, like you, work silently in harmony with nature to maintain the planet's energetic balance. The true guardians. Those ancient texts called the invisible guardians. Birds become your constant allies, your journey companions, ensuring you remain always aligned with your highest path. You discover communication isn't only passive. It's possible to send messages, intentions, and healing energies through the animal consciousness network to other people, to places needing support. A woman in Berlin, after mastering this practice, used it to send healing energies through birds to an orphanage in a conflict region. She simply focused her intention of peace and protection, asked pigeons and swallows, birds that travel long distances, to carry this vibration. And mysteriously, the energy arrived. The orphanage children reported feeling unusual peace during that period. Violence diminished, conflicts resolved. You become a beacon of light, able to positively influence your environment in subtle but powerful ways. The ability to predict changes, locate what's lost, and influence events becomes secondary to the joy of actively participating in maintaining life's harmony on Earth. If you've reached here, reading these words, you know this resonates with something ancient within you, a truth you recognize, a call you hear. It's no coincidence you're here. Begin today, right now. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait to be completely ready, because the perfect moment is now. And being ready is just a matter of starting. Choose an animal. It can be your cat. It can be a bird you see at the window, a butterfly landing in your garden, a stray cat in the neighborhood, any animal with which you feel a natural connection. Begin the 7 breaths tomorrow and continue for 7 days. Don't expect miraculous results. Expect subtle changes. A gaze that was previously vague now has intention. Behavior that was previously random now has purpose directed at you. A sensation in your chest you previously ignored now becomes clear. It's communication. And when you begin feeling this connection, when you know something real is happening, when the three signs begin manifesting, then you'll be ready to deepen, to ask questions, to receive answers, to become a true student of Thoth, an initiate in the lost language animals never forgot. Nature has waited for millennia for humanity to awaken. For us to reconnect with our brothers and sisters of the animal kingdom, for us to remember we're not separate from life, we are part of life. And when you truly awaken to this, when you feel in the marrow of your bones that you're as much animal as the singing bird, your life is never the same again. Because you will have recovered the lost ability, you'll be a speaker of ancient tongues, a translator between worlds, a guardian of harmony. Thoth has returned, not as a god in a temple, but in every animal you encounter, in every frequency you can feel, in every moment where you perceive you're not alone. You were never alone, and now, finally, you know it.